If you're still struggling to make money with AI, then this graph is probably going to tell you what's wrong with your strategy, and I'm going to help you fix it and understand everything about this. There's multiple layers to this, and I've also done an excellent drawing here, so you can leave a like on the video purely for the drawing. But there's a lot to this, and I'm going to try to break it down for you so that you can actually be successful in the AI space, because not understanding what this graph means is one of the most common reasons that I'm seeing of people not succeeding, because it's, if you don't understand it, you apply the wrong strategies to acquire customers, and it's really like the foundational paradigm of understanding the adoption of AI technology, which is what we are riding as AI agency owners. So this is called the technology adoption life cycle. Now what this graph outlines and really details, let me get my other pens here, is the adoption of new technologies. Now we see this, it's a pattern that they've recognized. I'm not sure who I attribute it to, but this is used to describe basically the adoption of any technology. And we have multiple stages here. And the multiple stages represent different portions of the population and the speed and rate at which they adopt new technology. So firstly, we have the innovators, we have the early adopters, we have the early majority, early Maj, and we have the late majority, late Maj, and we have the, what are these guys called? The laggards, right? Laggards. So these are different sections of the population. These guys are a handy dandy 2.5%. These guys are a 13.5%. I don't know who made these numbers up, but someone smarter than me probably. These guys are, I believe it's like 34%. These guys are another 34%. And these guys are the remainder. I can't remember exactly what. No one cares about these guys really, because we're not going to be selling to laggards. So forgive me for not remembering. You do the math, you figure it out. So we have the innovators, the early adopters, the early majority, the late majority, and laggards. And in between these two, we have what is known as the chasm. Now, it was Jeffrey Moore has a book called Crossing the Chasm, and this chasm describes the gap that forms between early adopters and the early majority that a lot of software companies struggle to bridge. So you might get a couple of early adopters to your technology and to your software, but you struggle to jump into this bigger pool of people and cross this chasm, which has got a nice little skull here, over into the early majority so that you can then start to sell it to more people. So why am I telling you this? Well, we sell technology, and AI is the technology that we are selling primarily, right? So if we understand how these different segments of the population need to be marketed to, how we can find them, what stage we're currently at, if you can understand this stuff fundamentally, then you can create a strategy on how you can create and run your business that utilizes the underlying effects of the market. So the market dynamics are absolutely key to understand, where you're going to use the wrong paintbrush on the wrong canvas or something. Some fancy analogy there that makes sense, but you're using the wrong tool for the job, basically. So each of these components, well, these sectors have their own qualities to them. Now you need to understand these qualities. So let's go through them. The innovators are sort of more interested, well, they might have a lot of money. Oftentimes they have some money and resources to throw at this thing because it's not going to make much money, it's not very useful, but this technology is exciting to them and they're willing to be invested in it. Like I said, they're more like tech versus use case. They see the potential in the tech more than anything else. They're not too worried about the rest of the stuff. So the innovators, then they have the early adopters. The early adopters are people who are kind of the visionaries. And these are people who look at this technology that these guys have been tinkering around with and they go, wow, oh, I understand how that can be used. I'm going to try and create the first sort of implementations of that and stretch this from a little sciencey. Like these are often academics. These are academics and they're sort of experimenting around with things, and then people bring it into these visionaries, and the early adopters will take it and sort of apply it to some real world use cases and start to stretch the capabilities so that it can really come into its own. These guys are not too much worried about they're more just excited, right? And they are looking at this technology as a new thing that they can take to the world. Then we have the early majority. These are people who are a little bit more pragmatic. They rely on more proof, evidence, and can best really be described as wait and see. So these guys, the early majority, the reason technology companies and technologies as a whole kind of fail to bridge this gap and cross the chasm is because this early majority and everything beyond, they want proof, they want evidence, they want to wait to be sure about something new before they take a risk on it. So they're a lot more risk averse. These guys are sort of risk takers. And again, they're more focused, the early majority are more focused on the potential of it rather than the current sort of efficiency and output of it, right? The early majority, pragmatic, need more proof, they wait and see. Late majority, it's a little bit more, they're sort of a little bit more, these guys are conservative. These guys are skeptical. Now, I'm not going to go into all this because we're not really dealing with those guys. But what I'm trying to teach you and explain to you, something that's made me successful in the space. I've made now over $1 million selling this AI stuff. And since I started my AI journey, so I feel like I'm kind of qualified. And without understanding this, I wouldn't have made nearly as much as what I have. So I'm trying to communicate this to you all because it really hurts me seeing so many of you trying to, well, I'm waving these things around. It hurts me to see so many of you trying to succeed, and I know how hard you're working on your agencies and trying to build them and sell solutions, but you're using the wrong tool for the job, and it comes down to understanding this. So stick with me because we've got a lot more to cover. All right, so the early adopters and the early majority is really the focus. Where AI is right now is we are in this early adopters phase, and we're kind of crossing the chasm into the early majority. Now, who is our market? It's business owners. So we need to think of this as not the consumer market, not people in their NAN going on and using ChatGPT. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the adoption of AI technology within businesses, which is it's a different curve. They all have their own places and ages and stages, but this is specifically for businesses. Now, how can we take what we've understood from this and the different stages of people? So these are visionaries, they're excited, they're risk takers, they want to try the technology and they want to apply it to use cases. And then we have the gap and the chasm that goes to these people here, who are a much larger section, the 34, over double, nearly 3 times as much. So we really want to be tapping into these at some point. But for those of you who are starting your AI agencies, you may be looking at this and seeing an issue, right? So if I'm trying to sell to early majority, who are wait and see, they're evidence-based, they want more proof, they're pragmatic, how in the hell am I going to sell my AI solutions if I've never sold one before? I don't have any proof, I don't have any evidence. The use case that I'm trying to sell them is not something that I have evidence to prove that works. So maybe selling these AI callers and the AI calling systems. Sure, early adopters look at that, like me and you, look at that and go, wow, that's cool. I see the potential. We have visionaries, we see the potential of the technology. But when you're trying to sell to people who need proof, they're deaf, it's falling on deaf ears. So how can we tailor our strategy as AI agency owners when we're getting started to use this to our advantage and plan our strategy according to the different pools of people in the market? So I'm glad you asked. What you want to do when you're starting your agency is not go for these people because you don't have the proof. You need to find early adopters. And in order to find early adopters, but they're a small segment, and I guess innovators kind of included in this as well, right? So they're sort of a group that you can sell to collectively. But in order to find them, these are already a small segment of the population. This is what, 16%. Meaning you have all of these people that you cannot even attempt to sell to without any proof or without any evidence as to the results that your systems can get. So keeping this in mind, how should we be trying to sell our solutions? By cold email? By reaching out to people via Instagram? By LinkedIn cold DMs? Well, I hope I've got enough room on the screen here. But let's just say we have a box of 100 people, but this is 10 by 10, right? 10 by 10. And then I'm sending my cold emails, and I have a list of thousands and thousands of people. In this case, let's just use 100. And I'm sending out these emails. And let's fill this out. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there. So this is, imagine this is filled out. I'm not going to draw it obviously because there's quite a lot, but there's a lot more X's going on here. There's 10 different rows of them. Now I've used the wrong colors, but you get what I mean. If I'm sending cold email and I have a list of 100 people and 100 business owners that I'm trying to contact, and I send out the cold emails, there's only 16 people on that list who are even moderate, like even open to buying and adopting this technology. And that's pretty optimistic. There might be none. I mean, this is if you get a perfect slice and segment of the population, you'll get this 16 people out of 100. You might get more, you might get less, depends how you build your list. But if you're cold emailing, it's likely going to be this or less. So that means that you are at a 84% handicap. Where's my red? I need to use red on this. 84% handicap. So when you're sending out the cold email, what might be effective in other niches and other industries, we are at a massive handicap here when you're trying to send this stuff. So keeping this in mind, the real question should be, okay, if I don't have any proof and I'm just starting my agency and I have to be selling to these early adopters and innovators, how can I get my message in front of as many of them as possible? All right, have a think. Is it going to be, with volume, if you send out huge amounts of volume, you can negate this. You can, if you're only getting, 2 people who are interested, and then you're getting, but then you even break this down even more. Say you've got this amount of people who are interested, and you're getting, like a 5% positive reply rate. There's still very small numbers coming out of this, because 5% of 16, what's that? It's like 1, right? So there's not much going on there. And if you have these kind of numbers, it's just like I'm working against you, really, which is what I'm stumbling over words a bit here, but I get anxious when I have to do maths on camera, by the way. I'm not sure if you do too, but 5% of 16, 1.6, so like 0.5% or something like that. Maybe we fact check it on the screen, but I'm not good at mental maths like that on camera. Anyway, yeah, so I could have gone a little bit deeper here just to explain this, so I thought I'd do it in the editing process now. If we were to get a 5% positive reply rate and we had a total of 100 people, as in the whole box was filled with black X's and everyone was a potential customer, we'd be getting 5 replies out of 100, right? What I was saying here is if we've only got 16 out of 100, because we're on the 84% handicap, then it ends up being 0.8 of a person. So that means there's 1 out of 16 is actually going to be a positive reply rate, meaning instead of getting 5 replies for sending 100 emails, you'll be getting 1 out of 100, which means then you add that to the booking rate and the close rate, and you're basically getting no clients, right? So yeah, thought I'd just add that in there. Hope this been helpful. So going back to what I was saying, if this is the handicap we have when we're doing outbound communications, the only other option is, well, it might be others, but the only other main option here is to try to get these people via inbound lead generation methods, which essentially is, instead of me trying to reach out to the whole damn world and fighting against this handicap of 84% or more, I'm going to instead try to attract these people to my business. And how are you going to attract them? Well, you can make content that appeals to those early adopters. So in this case, I'm running out of room here. So we have inbound lead gen. So trying to attract the early adopters to your business is probably going to be, I'm an example of it. My Morningside AI and everything that I've achieved the small wins that I've achieved relative to other people in the world, but within the AI space, I haven't done too damn bad. My success has come from attracting early adopters and innovators to my business, Morningside, via inbound lead generation. I'm just sharing what has worked for me, and what I'm starting to see. The reason I'm making this video is because I'm starting to see an emerging pattern within my community of more and more people using the exact same strategy that I'm about to tell you to generate those leads and get themselves out of just serving early adopters, getting them the testimonials and case studies they need so they can start to tackle this early majority. Inbound lead generation. LinkedIn, Twitter, I still call it Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. YouTube, hell. Maybe even you start a Pinterest. Don't start a Pinterest, I was just joking. LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube are kind of the go-to. You could do blog posting, SEO, whatever you. I just stick with these ones. But the thing is, you got to pick one and do it well. I, for example, picked YouTube, and I think I did it moderately well. You guys can be the judge of that. I guess it's the like and dislike ratio on this video will determine if I've done it well or not. But when it comes to money made from all of my businesses, I'd say I've done pretty well on YouTube. And you can do the same, but you got to pick one. And by picking one, we get so many, like, I have never had to run any kind of advertising for Morningside. I've never had to run any kind of outbound communications, no LinkedIn outbound, no Instagram outbound, no nothing, no cold email, no nothing at Morningside. It all comes from my channel. And my channel is more so focused on helping you guys now to start your own agencies and sharing what we learn at Morningside. So my content isn't even focused on selling to businesses. Like, I'm not even trying to attract businesses to my audience, but people are still seeing my videos who are business owners and coming to me to build their solutions. Inbound lead generation, pretty good if you do it right. So what I'm seeing is a lot of success on LinkedIn at the moment. LinkedIn is really hitting for a lot of people in the community, particularly in my accelerator. We've had some great success stories of people who we've just been on interview of people within my accelerator, and they all are using the same LinkedIn strategy, which is to generate inbound leads. And okay, so how can you generate the inbound leads if you were to take LinkedIn? Well, what they are all doing, and I mean what I've done as well on YouTube, it's not rocket science, but you need to somehow get people on your LinkedIn. So you need to gain connections. You can just be spamming out connections within your given niche. Just pick a niche, start trying to connect with different people. You will get a high acceptance rate of connections. People just like, well, yeah, sure, you can connect with me. There's going to be enough people that you can just start to connect and build a bit of a base. And then you want to be creating, I should do it over here, right? So you go build a base, or you might already have it already. A lot of the guys who are succeeding quickly have already been working in another job or another industry, and they're just starting to convert their LinkedIn from their old career or their old persona into this new, I'm an AI expert and I help build AI solutions for this. It doesn't even need to be niche down. You can stay general. I build AI stuff and find your niche later, but getting a little bit sidetracked. And then you need to post cool, valuable stuff. And this way, people will see that you know your stuff or know your shit. It's probably how I would have said it if I wasn't limiting my vocabulary on here. But you need to prove that you actually know what you're talking about. And in this way, by posting stuff regularly and sharing what you're doing, as I have on my channel, look at my past videos, you can see from the start the entire character arc of my channel. The reason I was able to do so well with Morningside, and we continue to do so, is because I built a base of proving that I knew my stuff. I was there giving coding tutorials of stuff that I had personally created and sharing it on my channel. And then I hired developers who are even better than me, and now I get them on my second channel. On my Morningside AI channel, I bring my CTO Spencer. I brought him on the channel the other day. You need to be proving that either you have the competency or your team has the competency. Anyway, I'll leave that there because I don't want to get a little bit too sidetracked on that. That's probably talk for another video, but there's the cliff notes of it. The more important thing that I want to talk about now is that there really is a race that is on. The race is on for this early majority. And this is what we've kind of known it as we've been early to this space and this AI agency opportunity that we've all hopped on. But we're still in this period of the AI space right now. We're in the early stages, but we are quickly moving into this early majority and crossing the chasm where there's now unlocking more and more people, and in our case, more businesses who are willing to buy our solutions, but they're only willing to buy it if they have the proof, the evidence. They want to wait and see that this stuff really does what we say it does before they take the red pill or the blue pill or whatever matrix analogy you want to use there. Before they take the dive into using AI within their business, they want to see the proof. Now, for us, if you don't ever get past this early adopters phase and you don't follow one of these strategies to get your first couple of clients and get some evidence and get some proof, then you'll never be able to come and compete with myself and the other big dogs in the space. I just call myself a big dog, that's so cringe. But the other people who are actually doing numbers and selling these solutions successfully, we're in here. Well, we can access here. Like, there's still a lot of money to be made with these early adopters, and they're far easier to work with because they're not really worried about, they're less pragmatic. They're not too worried about they're just excited. They're not too worried about the effects. While they do want to see a bit of value, if you're selling to these guys, you may notice that you build stuff that isn't super valuable and they're still happy with it because it's like, wow, that's cool. My business has AI now. These guys can be lovely to work with. When we get into here, they need a lot more evidence-based proof, etc. But as this market progresses, you're going to need to get into this point if you want to survive and if you want to really make the big bucks. So this is the current competition within, there's not much competition within the AI agency space because there's not many of us. There's very, very few of us who are actually on this opportunity and trying to make money off of it. And the few of us who understand this and are doing it well and positioning this strategy in order to get this part done so that they can move into this early majority. So there's not going to be many people after this video, maybe a bit more. There's not going to be many people who are in here competing for the big bucks, really. So that's my challenge to you all, is that you need to use a strategy that factors in this dynamic within the market, that very few people, 16% or thereabouts, are actually interested in implementing the stuff at the moment if you don't have any evidence or proof. And the thing is, if you're trying to get your offer or get your business and your services in front of people, you don't want to get it in front of these guys. You're wasting your time. Get it in front of these people. And the most effective way to do that is to attract them to you. Instead of bashing on their door and saying, do you want to buy some AI stuff yet? Just attract them to yourself and let them self-select. If you are connecting with people on LinkedIn and they see you're an AI guy, I do AI for dental, I do AI for financial services, whatever it is. If they see that and are interested, they'll self-select and say, cool, I'll connect with this guy. He's AI for financial services sounds interesting. I'm going to connect and add it. And then you build your base on LinkedIn and you start building cool stuff. And while you're building cool stuff, you're also learning. So you're making leaps and bounds in this thing. Every time you learn something and post it, you're not only learning, but you're also getting the marketing material to continue to show your expertise and build trust with your audience as well. So yeah, I just thought I'd throw down the gauntlet there and let you guys know that this is the challenge within AI agency space right now. We are all brothers and sisters in this space, which, okay, there's plenty to eat for everyone. Let's deal with this. Let's all start creating content. Let's make a personal brand. Let's get out there and start engaging with people and building connections so that you can start to make money and get your start in this. Because I'm telling you, if you dilly-daddle around, dilly-daddle, is that a word? Anyway, you get what I mean. If you mess around in this stage where we are here, and we're very quickly jumping over to this, as I'll talk about a little bit later. But if you are messing around, then you're not going to, when everyone else mobs onto this opportunity, and they're coming very soon, I'd say in the next year. I mean, we're already starting to see other people selling these courses and things like this and trying to say that they know what they're talking about in this. And honestly, I've seen so many ads now, it's kind of getting embarrassing what these guys are trying to sell. So I would say that not to big up what I'm doing and my team. And there's only a few people in the space who are actually doing this thing. And I tell you, like, I am one of them, and there's a couple of other people who I recommend on my channel and things like this. So they are coming, and it's evident by the amount of other people who are popping up and selling how to do this thing. So that's the challenge. But if you dilly-dally around, other people are going to jump in here, but you're going to spend all this time trying to get yourself off the ground, and then by the time you get there, there's going to be way better agencies who have just jumped in here and are attacking this issue because they tried to solve these problems so that they can attack this new market. So now I don't want to rub this off because it does look nice and pretty. But I do want to layer over something else here that's also important, considering on this fine Saturday, we just had a pretty big update from OpenAI, which I think highlights another factor that gets incorporated into this whole picture. So we just had, I'm going to rub this off. So we just had the Assistance API V2 release from OpenAI. And now this is a massive update. This is something myself and the team at Morningside and Agentive, my SaaS platform, we have been waiting for this. This was really a bet that we made 6 months ago now to say, look, the Assistance API is a ridiculously powerful platform. It has custom knowledge agents. You can connect tools. It does everything for you, the chat history management, thread management, tool calling. Very powerful package. But when it came out, it wasn't in a great state. Like, it was very ludicrously expensive, very slow, knowledge base was very spotty. And so when we built Agentive on top of it, we had to deal with customers who were users who were very unhappy with the quality of the Assistance API that we were built on. But by association, they think that our knowledge base wasn't working, but in reality, it was the Assistance API knowledge base that was not working. So anyway, enough of me coping. What I was trying to say here is that we have just had Assistance API V2. Stick with me. This is going to sort of light the fire under your bum. Now, what also happens in these is, say, using the web as an example. This is like early 90s, 1990s, early academics. So you can plot out the entire web adoption on this. You got the academics early on who were like, wow, this internet's really cool. It really didn't work and it was terrible, but they believed in it and saw the potential. Then you had people who came in the sort of mid-90s, I'd say, and then they were able to build companies on top of it. You got the first couple kind of .com companies, and people were starting to be visionaries, and they were taking the technology and pushing it to new limits and finding real use cases for it. And this is where we are right now with AI. All of you watching this are seeing the same thing, these voice agents, chat agents, these automations and systems like these, and you're like, wow, there's so many use cases for this. But in order to get to the early majority, when it came to the web, it needed faster, like the infrastructure and the technology itself had to actually improve as well. So it wasn't just, yeah, like people had to kind of push it down here just by doing this businessy stuff with it. No, the technology that was underpinning it had to improve, and the infrastructure that allowed people to use it had to improve. And what we are seeing, why I'm saying this, is what we're seeing right now is the Assistance API update is representative of this very move, which is my Brain FM has started playing. Stop. Got a ghost on the keys. In order for the web to progress into the early majority, early Maj, they had to have improvements in the infrastructure. So the web was faster, the pages loaded better, it looked prettier. Things that took it from this early on, like scientific-y, really nerdy academic thing, it had to get to the point where these early majority people were willing to adopt it because it made sense, it was practical. These people, these visionaries in the early 90s and innovators, they're not too concerned about the practicality of these things. They're more excited by it, but in order to get to the early majority, we need the infrastructure and the systems to make this thing make sense. I will wait and see until it makes sense. And what we have just been given a few days ago is the update that makes it make sense. I'll probably put a video out on this in a bit, but the Assistance API v2 is, let me get red so you really get the message, faster, more reliable. It is also cheaper. So all of these things, if you were selling these solutions via Agentive or whatever you were selling, you will understand that it was slow. Oh, slow. It was very slow. It was also extremely expensive in the V1. And that's supposed to say reliable, not relatable, but it was not reliable. The knowledge base kept going on smoko, as I like to say, and kind of deciding that it wasn't working for that afternoon. This is very much early adopter behavior. So like, I'm okay with it being like this because it's still cool and I like it. And I'm in this bucket and I thought it was cool, and I'm sure you are too if you played around with these GPTs and AI agents. But the Assistance API v2 is a sort of coming of age of this AI agent opportunity and technology where it's going to start to make sense for a lot more of the early majority because it's faster, it's cheaper, it's more reliable. And they have waited and saw. You get what I mean? They have waited around for the time for this kind of technology to get to the point. Now, when we come to them and say, hey, look, I can build you an AI agent that does this, this, and this, they'll say, okay, well, how much is it going to cost me? Oh, well, it's only going to cost you this, this, and this. We have techniques. We can fine-tune the Assistance API. We can actually do a fine-tuning. So when we're testing it initially, setting it up using GPT-4, you probably don't want to get that technical when you're talking to clients. But you can say, hey, look, we can start it off, run some tests, get all the data back, and then we can do a sort of fine-tuning of the system down to your specific use case. It's going to be cheaper, faster, and it's going to be much more suitable for your use case. So thought I'd lay that in there. There's also, how do I lay this in? Like, I'm pretty proud of that drawing. So I apologize for not rubbing it off and giving you some new stuff, but I kind of want to leave it up there for as long as possible. You can overlay the curves. Let's say that this one is the technology itself. So let's say this is the tech. By tech, I mean the Assistance API. For the web, it would be in like broadband and faster connections and better browsers and things like this. Tech. And then laid over that, you might have the actual adoption. So you might have the adoption, which is like, whoa. And this is the actual adoption. So it lags behind the tech. We've just had new tech, and we continue to see new tech. Bland conversational pathways. Check out bland conversational pathways. Check out, this is the voice agent equivalent essentially of the Assistance API. I wouldn't say equivalent, I'd say the level of complexity and polish on things like bland conversational pathways as a solution type of AI voice agents. We're seeing this coming of age of the technology beyond just what we're used to. I mean, when I started doing this stuff, and you go back and look at some of my videos, when I was in my other apartment in Dubai and I was making these tutorials for people, I was having to create custom knowledge ChatGPTs with custom code and all these difficult things, and it would barely even work. And oftentimes it wouldn't work. We struggled to deliver a custom knowledge chatbot for months at Morningside. That was the level of the tech. And now it can take you probably 30 minutes or 10 minutes to create. We are seeing leaps and bounds, and the technology is maturing, but that means there's this actual adoption lagging behind, which is going to quickly, oh look, this is just the chef's kiss on this graph, if I can do it right. Where's my black? This is taking me back to doing like economics in high school. Oh, we see a shift in the curve to the right. So this actual adoption curve is going to catch up to technology itself, and it is our job, and this is where we make the money. This is our opportunity. The money is in this shift. All right? I can give you a second just to absorb that. We have new technology coming of age that it makes sense for the early majority. All you need to do is facilitate this shift, which is the entire thing that this opportunity, when I first started talking about it, was facilitating the adoption of new technology. Now we have the new technology, the new technology, which is much better and makes sense for the early majority. So this is more so for urgency, a big kick up the butt for you, that this is, we're moving. So if you don't quickly get this under control and get some inbound leads and start to close these early these early adopters, you're going to have issues, because we're going to be selling to these, and most of these guys are going to have their things built. A lot of the needs of these people are going to be snapped up, or they're going to be even worse. They'll be psychologically conditioned to working with agencies who haven't worked well in the past. So this is what you see in the SMMA markets and things like this, where there's so many agencies trying to sell so many services that segments of the different niches and stuff can get fatigued, because there's so many bad actors. Not technically they are bad actors, but people who are selling solutions who don't know what they're doing and aren't able. They just take the money, deliver bad service, and there's a skepticism towards new solution providers. So these guys are still, they haven't been screwed over yet, or it's highly likely that they haven't. So you need to move fast. Start a personal brand. Start talking and sharing about what you're doing. Learn and document the process so that you can, and have some kind of strategy, right? So you may be thinking this doesn't make sense, but any of these posting regularly, as long as you have some kind of growth strategy, which any of you have, you all have fingers. You can all search up on the internet how to grow a LinkedIn, how to grow on Twitter. The information is there. You just needed the strategy, and I've given you the strategy. You use one of these, you learn on the job, you share what you learn, you hire these people, you close these kind of clients, and that will set you up with the evidence in order to tackle this. Now you can continue to serve these clients because they're usually a lot nicer, because they don't require this pragmatic angle on it. But when the opportunity comes, when this pool starts to be tapped out, and when there's bigger money to be made here, you are going to have the skills, resources, and testimonial and proof to start to do it. Now you have to forgive me, this is my first one of these, as you probably know. At the start, it took me a little bit to get going, but you can see once I get going, it does sort of come together. So if you guys want more videos like this is so important. Like I can't stress this enough. If you don't understand these different segments, then you're going to be using the wrong strategy at the wrong time. I mean, when we do, going back, but when we do start to see this pool open up, that's when you can do the cold email. You can still do a cold email now, but as you give it a year or two, this opens up, and now there's 50% of the population who are like, hell yeah, like I'll get some AI in my business. Then you can start to do those cold email, those outbound systems. Or better yet, you can start to even do it once you have the proof. You can just start setting them up, because you can't just run a cold email and say, hey, I can build you a chatbot, do you want it? He's like, well, what does it do for me? How much does it cost? Is there going to be any, like, what if it doesn't work? Are you going to waste my time? There's pragmatic reasons that you need to answer and objections that you need to handle. So if you can have the testimonials and case studies and you can run the outbound, but it will take a lot more to get through to them, a lot more proof. But yeah, that was cool. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope that was valuable. I was going to say like for more whiteboard videos, but I don't think you can stop me now. So I'm just going to keep doing these. These are really fun, and it's a pretty efficient way for me to communicate my worldview and the things that I've learned from, well, Morningside's right there, from Morningside, and what I learned from my team, from my business partner and things like this. It's not just my brain here. This is not just my brain. This is the brain of my business partner, Josh, who is an absolutely killer entrepreneur, better than me. And my CTO, Spencer, who's been doing this NLP stuff for 6-7 years. And the rest of my team as well. We're all mining these, not solutions, but mining these learnings for you, and I'm communicating it through this. Right? And also, just so you're wondering, why I do these videos, I've kind of talked about it in my prompt engineering one, but I want you guys all to know that the reason I make these videos, it's a selfish reason, absolutely, but I think that's going to be resonate with you a lot more, because if I set up and said, I'm doing it because I love you and I really care about, well, yes, I do have some of those feelings towards you all, and the people that I know personally from the community, absolutely. But people are motivated by self-interest, and I am motivated by self-interest, as are you. And if I teach you this stuff, and you successfully start to sign clients, and you're making money here, and then you start to sell to early majority, I have software that I want to sell to successful agency owners. And if you never become a successful agency owner, I don't win with my software. So it's a win-win situation, right? I teach you prompt engineering. If I don't teach you that, you will never make money with AI. You'll never be a successful agency owner. So my software becomes useless and it has no users. So all of these videos that you're going to see from me, from here on out, just so we're clear, so that I can make you into the best and most successful agency owner possible. Because if you don't make money, I don't make money, and I remain as a bounce on YouTube guy forever. Okay, like if you enjoyed, I'll see you in the next one.